So even though we have some things to work with on this new moon, if we can take that initiative to work with these energies, we can have a happy ending. Hi, welcome to Burning Waters of the Moon Tarot. My name is Desiree, and this is a tarot reading for the new moon and eclipse energy in Virgo. I also briefly discuss some of the energies that are happening during this eclipse and new moon, and hopefully you can use this to help you going forward. Enjoy. Happy new moon. All right, and I did a reading on the dark moon on my other channel last night. I know everything's a little bit late, but I have actually been very behind this week, and I wanted to get the tarot reading out last night, but I was just too tired after editing I will leave a link to that video where it talks about the energies that are presenting in our solar system, in our sky at the moment, and for the next couple of days, and how you can use those energies. So this reading is going to be a reading for the collective on how we can work with the full moon. The new moon energy that's coming up, and then with the eclipse energy as well. So this is a great time to bring things to the forefront that we want to work on, things that we want to sustain us, things that we want to gestate within us, as it is Virgo season, and everything's happening. This eclipse and new moon is happening in Virgo. So I do go over that in my Cosmic Currents video. So check it out. All right, so for this reading, I have Avisoma by Ola Bird. Then we have Tarot of Oneness, and this is from my bestie Elizabeth over at The More Intuitive Me. We did a deck swap under the hashtag Use My Decks, and we switched 5 decks. So this is her deck. It's a very beautiful deck. I think I might want to pick this deck up. And then we also have Sacred Spirits reading card by Anna Stark. And I've not really seen this deck out on TarotTube, but it's a really cool deck, really cool art, and very nice. I think I have a flip through of this on my other channel as well. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We've got Tarot of Oneness. Look at these gorgeous backs. Wow. Also, you probably did not notice, but my elements are in a different order because I'm facing a different window. I'm facing a different direction. I am now doing this reading at my front room window, which used to be my daughter's room. And my middle son actually has moved to Massachusetts to play hockey for this school. And so she took his room, and so we moved all his stuff downstairs, and he has a nice computer desk. So I put that right in front of our front window, and it's a south-facing window. So I'll get a little bit of sun. Hopefully it's not too dark, but not too bright. I do like my videos darker. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the Avisoma Tarot by Ola Bird. So yes, it is a little bit bird inspired, but not too bad. It's a little bit of a pippish deck as well. And it does follow, it has some RWS elements. I may or may not have done a flip through, but if I haven't, I'll try to do a flip through. I haven't been too into doing flip throughs lately. Oh, I went the wrong way. I forgot I was facing a different way. Yep. I have to remember. I'll get used to it. All right, so I'm going to pull 3 cards, and those are going to be the 3 main energies for the collective as we work through this new moon and as we go through this new moon cycle. So as the moon is dark and in Virgo, she is soaking up all of those Virgo constellation energies. And not only that, she's picking up on all the other energies that are coming through the cosmos at the moment. We've got some beautiful trines going on. We've got a nice kite and some sextiles. So all of that energy is really here to help us, to guide us, to aid us into achieving that we wish to achieve. All right, here we go. Reading for the collective. King of Cups in reverse, Eight of Swords in reverse, and the Page of Swords in reverse. Gosh, interesting. All air cards here. Okay. Let me sit with this for a moment. So, with our Eight of Swords, this is that card of being in your own prison. And here, I kind of get that because we've got these vines being entwined in all of this. And because all of these are in reverse, the energy's there, but it's not quite apparent. Okay. So there is probably a situation that you're in which you think that you can't get out of, or you think that's just the way it has to be. And we have the King of Cups here. I'm sorry, I said all of this was air. I meant, this is water. But he's heir of water because he's a king. So, so he is heir of water, but this King of Cups, he is first and foremost a king, and but he rules over cups. So what I like to say is that because he is the King of Cups, he's first an air card. All right. So he can be likened to that of the Queen of Swords, but in a different way. Okay. So where the Queen of Swords has full control of her emotions, she's a queen first. She's got the emotions, but she knows how to express them. The king is he has his logic first, and then he decides how his emotion is going to be applied, right? He sees the situation, and then he decides the best course of action, right? It's not so much control as it is more a strategic planning. So if you think, I always think about how the difference between my son and daughter, uh, my son in a masculine way, he sees the situation for what it is, and then he's okay with it. He doesn't allow it to affect him on an emotional level, but he looks at it first logically, like, well, okay, I need to clean my room first before I get, whatever, a snack, right? Whereas my daughter will flip her lid if she has to clean her room first and not get her snack. She will pour her emotions into it first. My son will look at it logically. He'll may or may not have a feeling about it, but he will be guided by logic before being guided by his emotion. And so all of that to say, with this being presented in a reverse, is that perhaps it is more so that you're being guided by your emotion and trying to apply logic to it that way. And because of that, because of that particular way of thinking, you are putting yourself in a situation where you feel like you can't get out of it, where you're in this prison. I wonder if you heard that background. That is my cats. They are pretty feisty in the morning after being asleep all night. And so with this here is that perhaps you don't really know that the situation you're in is because of the way that you're thinking about this. And then we have the Page of Swords. So he is Earth of Air, and he is also in reverse. But our pages are our young energies. Our pages are the ones that are apprentice like energy and wanting to discover and understand. And so with this guy being in reverse, I I almost want to say that you were not taking the time to really discover the logic, the education, the meaning behind things. But before I go ahead and make a reading on that, I think I would like to pull the cards from the Tarot of Oneness. Oh, this deck shuffles so beautifully. It's such a nice deck. Elizabeth has already sent my decks back, and I don't want to send her decks back. I actually, it's because I feel like I haven't had enough time with them, and really, that's my fault. Well, it's no one's fault actually. I've just been super busy. I've been very busy with my Pentacles life, and then my son moving, and then of course my daughters are still here. So it's just, there's just a lot that I am having to deal with, and most of my time is being spent at my job because I no longer have those those 10 hours a day to do 10 hours plus, because I have that drive, and then I'll come home. I'll work for about 6 hours, and then I come home to pick up my daughter from school, and then I'm home working from home for a little bit longer, just to put in, my 8 hours a day. But I end up working a little bit more usually just to get the job done. All right, let's see for the collective. So we have Enlightenment of Wands. So the courts in this deck were renamed, and so this is a king. So this is King of Wands. And then we have Spirit of Cups. Spirit. I'll have to see what that one is. Ace of Cups in reverse. Spirit of Swords in reverse. The Moon in reverse. And the Seven of Swords. Ooh, look at that card. Oh, okay, I'm going to need to scoot this over just a tad, right? Let's see. I did a trial run on getting all of this in frame, and it works. Okay, except you can't really see this card. Let me show you. This is Seven of Swords. Look at that leopard. Even be a panther. And look how camouflaged he is as well. Okay. This is such a good deck. I love it so much. Okay. And then we've got the Nine of Cups in reverse, the Hermit, and Three of Cups. Ooh, I like that. Then at the bottom of the deck, we have the Lovers in reverse. Now this deck has two Lovers cards. There's a female presenting lover and a male presenting lover. Okay. So yeah, so how I was reading the Page of Swords is how it is coming out. There is just some discovery that is also needing to happen. And one of the things that the astrology shows is that, if I can pull that up. One second. Okay, so I was able to pull it up, and here we go. Okay. You're not going to be able to see my cursor, will you? I don't think so. Well, I'm going to try. I only have one screen over here. I'm not at my desk. No, it's not going to show. Okay. Anyway, so if we look at the astrology, if you want a better explanation, check out my video. But over at the top where you see the crescent blue moon next to the MC, top of the chart, that is where our new moon is happening. Okay, that's where the eclipse is happening as well. But if you look in the center of the chart, you can see there are two blue triangles that are reaching the edges of the inner circle. Okay, those are called our grand trines, and we have two grand trines. Not only that, we have some semi-sextiles that are working with one of those grand trines to create a kite, which is very synergistic energies to be working with. So what I have proposed in my video is that we work with some of our emotions. We work with breaking things down that are no longer serving us, because we have Pluto in one of these trines. He's over in the bottom left, and by Sagittarius and Capricorn. And we have Pluto trine with Uranus, who's over there in Taurus. And those two are trine to the new moon. So these are things that are that can be broken down. This is our harmonious aspect. And it's harmonious in the way that it's not going to be a breakdown that causes, total destruction and despair. It's going to be a breakdown that, if we are consciously aware of it, we can work with that to turn it into something that we can use. We can break something down little by little and then rebuild it. Okay. It doesn't have to be, like I said, a complete catastrophe. If you, and I propose to really look deep down into your psyche, and work with those, start to pull things to the surface that you want to work with, that you want to change, maybe about yourself, maybe how you interact with others, maybe with some relationships you have in your life that you're not quite happy with. And the best thing to do is to, start a journal, get your ideas in line, and then start formulating a plan on how you can best tackle this. Of course, if it has to deal with another person, you're going to have to express that in a way, and you're going to have to be very careful in that expression, because there's some things going on in the sky where bringing too much out could be a little could have some adverse effect. So that's the energy that I'm getting from this page here. Is there's things that need to be understood. There's some things that need to be pulled out into the surface. We have, the moon already deals with the dark things that are hidden. Can also be phases and such as well. But perhaps this is a phase in your life, and it's time for you to move on, time for you to address this, time for you to tackle it, so that it's no longer bothering you anymore. It's not one of those things that you have to think about at night, or that you have to not go somewhere because such and such is going to be there. I have a situation in my life that needs to be addressed in that manner. And that's one of the things I have written on my list, is that it's time to address it. It's, there's no more running away from it. And because it's not only hurting me, it hurts others as well. So I have some things on my list that I'm going to be addressing. And really, that Page of Swords, this person needs to be that seeker. This person needs to be that energy that goes to discover things. He is earth of air, so he's very tactile and very in it. And because he is of air, he also wants to understand it and get to the bottom of it. Okay, and the good thing is, here we have the Three of Cups, and I really like, when I read, I like these two cards. These are like my two main players of the reading, right? I don't always necessarily go in order, and they all kind of talk to each other and work synergistically with one another. But I really like that we have this Three of Cups at the bottom, and this is that energy of togetherness and harmony and happiness. These people here are creating magic and memories, and you can see that fairy dust the pixie dust that's coming out of their cups, and it's because they're sharing with one another. They're sharing experiences, they're sharing emotions, they're sharing feelings, and they're sharing energies, and these energies intertwine with one another and they become part of you. So even though we have some things to work with on this new moon, the if we can take that initiative to work with these energies, we can have a happy ending, or at least happier than what it is currently. Okay, so I need to check what spirit is. So let's see, I'm going to check the book. So inspiration is the pages, action is knights, oh, and spirit is, of course, the queens. And then embodiment is king. Okay, so we have a king and a queen together and a king up at the top. Isn't we've got lots of court cards. So we've got these two up here, and then we've got 3 up here, so that's 5. That's a lot of quartz, and 2 major arcana as well. So this is a pretty deep message. Okay, with our King of Wands and our Queen of Cups cards. Now, Queen of Cups is water of water. She is the full embodiment of emotion, and she is okay with her emotions. Sometimes those emotions can, go off the deep end, but it's still the full embody of emotion and being able to express that emotion. And sometimes some emotion is very explosive and it just needs to come out, right? There's no hiding it. There's no controlling it. It just needs to come out. And that's what happens. We have the King of Wands in reverse, and he's air of fire. So, and then that's right under here, this Nine of Cups, which is also in reverse. And what I'm seeing here, and it's also close, it's next to this Ace of Cups, which is in reverse. So our only forward facing card is this Queen of Cups. And what that is telling me is that it's really time to embody those emotions. Like it's time to take ownership of the emotions. It's time to take some action on those emotions, because it's keeping you from receiving some things that can make you happy and content, right? It's keeping you from starting new connections. It's because you're not fully expressing yourself. You don't have a full you don't have a full game plan of how you're going to express yourself. These emotions are keeping you from attaining something that you can that you're seeking, that you want, right? And let's see, we also have Queen of Swords in reverse, and the Hermit. Okay, under our 8 of Swords. Okay, so Queen of Swords, she is water of air. Okay, and let me formulate my sentences here. Yeah, so all of these in this column here, Hermit, which is our major arcana, he is the only one who is upright. Okay, we've already addressed this emotion that's kind of being swelled up, that needs to be expressed, and we already addressed that it's holding you back. But what needs to happen is these 2 cards to me are kind of, I wouldn't say one and the same, but they have the same idea. This Hermit is a discovery, a self-discovery. And not only that, it's also going into seclusion for a little bit so that you don't have this outside this outside input to help sway you one way or the other. This is really getting to know yourself deep down inside, and getting to know the core of yourself. We have the Queen of Swords, which is in reverse, and she's not fully expressing herself in the way that she should, right? She has some emotion, but she's not expressing it in the most logical way. And 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 and, and that brings us back to this queen over here, who's surrounded by these reversals. It's holding her back. And if you can be this Queen of Swords person who is emotional, but yet you have these emotions, but you can express them in a way that is able to be understood by others, then it's okay to have this well of emotion, this ocean of emotion behind you, as long as you can kind of reel it in. In our society, we can't, there's a way to express things. If someone makes us mad, we can't necessarily rear end their car. Right? We just can't do. I mean, we could, but there's going to be some consequences. So there is a way to approach things when we have all these emotions. And Moon as well has to deal with emotions. And with this moon being in reverse next to the Seven of Swords, which we've already discussed, is that there are some things that are to be discovered that can help us express here. So with the new moon happening in Virgo, what my takeaway on this, with all of these energies happening, and the moon soaking all of this up, think of this new moon, this dark moon, as a sponge, and she's really soaking all of these energies up that are in the cosmos right now, and you're soaking it up too, and what you're putting out there is part of this entire universe, right? So you're putting some things out there too. So if you can focus on what it is that you want to work on, what it is that you want to change, and it's something that, or it can even be a few things. Don't overwhelm yourself, but have an idea, make an intention, set the intention that you want to make this change, that you want to be more of this, and that you want your next coming months, your next coming years to be like this. And put that intention out there. Write it down so that you can revisit it, and write it down so that you can start formulating your plan. Because what happens in Virgo season is that it's the time of harvest, right? So when it's time to harvest things, we are essentially taking something from the earth that we've grown, that we've cared for, and it's going to sustain us over the winter. So if we can harvest an idea, an ideal, an intention that we want to keep with us for this next coming winter and into the spring, we can not only keep that energy within us, and that can sustain us, but Virgo is also the great mother. This is a gestational period as well. She's got, thousands of galaxies within her constellation. And so if we take an idea, an ideal, or an intention, we can also gestate this and nurture it and grow it during this time of rest when winter comes, right? And this is for the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere, you guys are a bit different. You guys are coming out of this and going into summer, which is pretty cool. I would love to go visit New Zealand during Christmas time and experience Christmas in the summer. I think that would be something. Okay. And so, yes, so harvesting in and using this energy to sustain you, using the idea of where you want to go, using your intention of what you want for this next coming month and year. And then gestating an idea, or gestating a new you, a new aspect of you, a new relationship, and formulating a plan on how you can make this work. There's no rush. There's no rush to get this done. You don't need to complete this by the next moon cycle. It's completely up to you on how fast you want to get this done, when you want to get this done, and how you want to work it. But the idea is that you have these synergistic energies that are working to help you achieve a goal. And I think, no, I know that these cards are really, they're saying the same thing on what's going on in the sky. And it's actually truly amazing that that's what happens when I look at the astrology and then I do a reading for it. And I'm actually really thankful it comes out that way. But it's just another notch in my abilities belt, because sometimes I question my abilities, right? Sometimes I'm like, oh, well, what, how can these cards actually say something? Where does this information come from? Is this really real? And the same thing about the stars too. It's like a constant question, because nothing is ever, it's like it's so hard to fully get confirmation sometimes. But when these cards come out and it mirrors what I have read from the stars, it's absolutely amazing. And that's really what happened here. So it's super cool and I love it. And thank you so much for watching. And I will leave a link to my reading in with the Virgo energy. And the moon is going to be new for the next day or so, probably about 2 days. I count the new moon. I actually say it's a dark moon when there isn't a crescent, when you can't see that little sliver of a toenail. As soon as you start to see that little sliver, that little toenail, that is, to me, is the new moon. But when it's dark, when it's completely no sunlight on it, to me that's the dark moon. And it's going to be like, I think it's like that for a couple of days, maybe 3, but I think that's pushing it. So anyhow, you still have time to work with this, and even still, I think you have all of Virgo season to work with this as well, to get your harvest, to get that baby that you want to gestate. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know, and I'll see you next moon. Okay, so I stopped the video and started putting everything up, and I realized I didn't pull an oracle card. So we'll go ahead and do that now. This is the Sacred Spirit Reading Card, okay, by Anna Stark. And very beautiful deck. Look at these gorgeous cards. I mean, just sparkly and nice, right? And then the cards themselves, they're really just cool. I'm pretty sure I did a flip through on my other channel. If I can remember, I'll link it below, because the art is very nice. So we'll get a card pulled, and we will. Oh, I still haven't remembered, have I? No. Okay. I have to side shuffle. These cards are a little bit bigger, but still. Oh, soul fragments. Well, that must be our card. Look at that. That's the only one that was interesting. Okay. Number 33, soul fragments. Balance will be restored. Let's see what Honest Dark has to say about that. The life of our soul is infinite, and while aspects of the self are never truly lost, they can separate through times of trauma, grief, separation, loss, or refusing to deal with an issue. The psyche's self-preservation causes this illusionary disconnection as it chooses to distance itself from the situation in question. These fragments are merely in places our consciousness has chosen to forget to spare the emotional turmoil from an intense emotional experience. Recalling these fragments with love, healing, and understanding allows the soul to continue moving forward without the individual feeling stuck in the past or unable to get over an issue or event. Empowering and liberating retrieval is recommended if you feel you are missing parts of yourself. Although sometimes challenging to find, conscious thought and skillful awareness is all that is required to recall a soul fragment back to its host. Seek a professional guide if you feel more comfortable. Currently, you may be feeling incomplete, not like yourself, physically flat, with no motivation, lacking joy in your life, or even that you are unable to move forward. Right now, your soul needs to reclaim a part of its missing memory. Past trauma that is being held within you is crying out to be healed. Through recollection, you will be able to see the truth and the situation for what it is. Be careful. You are entering a period in which you will be challenged emotionally. Build your resilience and remain objective. Fear-based experiences need to be addressed now. Past life regressions could be beneficial to create understanding of phobias, deep-seated fears, or subconscious patterns that have previously controlled your life. Reclaim your power. Shadow aspect, fear, shallowness, detachment, sacred crystals, boji stones, angel assistance, guardian angel Rampel, clearing karmic debris, recalling lost soul fragments. And the affirmation, I am the master of my own mind and I am ready to move on. Wow, how cool is that? I think that is super cool, especially it really matches our reading and matches what the stars say, addressing things. And perhaps there is some soul fragments that need to be reclaimed. And if you can't do it yourself, of course, seek professional help, of course, or, seek the help of a healer. I always feel that working with the moon outside is deeply healing for me. And I go out there and, we just talk and, she pours the wisdom into me and I can kind of see what it is I need to work on, what it is I need to do. So try that out. If that doesn't work, seek someone who you may feel more comfortable doing that, right? Someone who, if you need a what's it called, a pro, just find someone. There's so many options out there for this spiritual healing. There's so many healers out there. So also, when finding a healer, a spiritual healer, I would take advice from someone who has worked with the healer before, because there's many different people who are out there who don't quite have the experience, especially working with plant medicines, and they can say that they have, and they've done this and that, but the real test is someone experiencing it, and a testament from someone that you know and trust. So just be careful, because dealing with soul fragments and going past life regressions and doing that type of things, if you're not ready for that, it can bring on a heavy dark night of the soul, which is never really fun. But if you're not prepared for it, or if it comes on too quickly, it can really disrupt things. So just a word of caution when working with others. But I fully believe we can heal ourselves. I do. I fully believe that we've just got to get in touch with that part of ourself that knows, and then you've got to really believe that you can do it, and you can. Okay, that's going to be it. That's it for my reading. That is our oracle card for this new moon, this black moon, this eclipse. And I will see you guys next reading. Take care. Thank you guys so much for watching this reading for the new moon and eclipse in Virgo. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.